Let's do the collective energy reading. So today I do this in 3 parts. I'll be using the Forecaster Oracle. This is a 3-part reading. First part is tapping into the collective energies to see what I can feel, also what the cards want to reveal. The second part is the world prediction section for the week coming up, how this collective energy is going to affect the world stage with events. And then finally, how to best navigate that with a personal reading for our own energy, and how this possible collective energy could be affecting us and what we need to watch out for. I do it all with the Forecaster Oracle. However, today I've grabbed the wrong deck of cards. I also grabbed my world predictions, so I think I'm meant to pull a couple of cards out of there as well. So I'll pull 2 for each section from this deck as well. Let's get on to this collective energy reading. I've drawn the cards for the collective energy, but I thought I might just run through some interesting astrology placements for the week coming up, I think because they really align to what the cards are indicating is going to happen this week. The other thing is that the cards were pretty spot on last week, and they have been over the last month or so around the tension in the collective with what's going on with the war at the moment. So I'm predicting this before the war was actually declared. But last week they were pretty clear on activity or heightened activity to do with the Strait of Hormuz and defending that territory. That was one of the cards that came out in the reading. And I know here in Australia we were asked to defend the Strait of Hormuz because it is important to us as well. We're about to face an oil or fuel shortage here in Australia. So the US is reaching out to different countries to help or assist in the Strait of Hormuz. Now there's still a lot, this is still playing out this week, because on the cards that I'm going to reveal for this week is showing a little bit of tension around the strategy to do with what's going on there in Iran and how the collective is processing or taking that information. So let's have a quick look at the astrology. Now this could be affecting collective energy, and it can also be affecting you personally. So I'll read this and it can fit into any part of this reading. So first of all, I'm very drawn to, we have a conjunction with the Sun and Saturn. Saturn is conjunct the Sun. So personally this could bring a feeling of restriction around your vitality. So be aware of, because the Sun represents your vitality, it represents you, it represents your ability to shine, to feel like your soul is nourished. Saturn is restrictions, it's hurdles, it's obstacles, it's challenges, it's facing accountability. Remember that word because it's going to come up in the cards as well. So this is what we're facing in the collective this week is a result of the conjunction between Saturn and Sun. So Sun restricting vitality on a personal level, but also restricting any plans to make things go bigger or expand. Now I have got something coming on with Jupiter as well, the planet of expansion, but we have this vitality being affected for the collective, so and hurdles and blockages, but also needing to take accountability. It can force restrictions with what's going on in the conflict, so finding restrictions on strategies that have been playing out with this ongoing conflict. The other thing that's very interesting is we have Mars. What's Mars doing? Mars is in Pisces, and Mars is squaring off with the moon over this week. So the moon's going to be transiting through Taurus and Gemini over this week, primarily. And it stays in a sign for about 2.5 days. So mostly we're going to see the activity of Taurus and Gemini. But as it transits its way through Gemini, it's going to be forming a squaring aspect with Mars here, Mars in Pisces. Now, Pisces is your spirituality, it's your boundaries, it's that place of escapism, where you go beyond logical thought. It's also like a water sign, and that can mean heightened emotions. Now, moon represents emotion, so we could be seeing things going on with emotions. Now, because the moon's sitting in Gemini, which is a very logical sign, air sign, thoughts, it could be issues around and these are a squaring aspect, which means it's a challenge for these to work together. So the energy here is the moon trying to come to terms or understand how it's feeling. So you could have difficulties in expressing how you feel about whatever's going on around you, or really putting a finger on how what's going on with this tension around the world or fuel crisis or whatever's happening, how you really feel about it, having trouble putting those emotions into words. So that could be coming up because it's a squaring energy with the moon and Mars. The other thing Mercury's gone direct on the 20th of March, which was the end of last week, yesterday. So finally, we're moving direct with Mercury, which is a relief when it comes to our technology and things that was glitching, and I know I experienced that myself. So it's really good when Mercury starts to move forward again. So Mercury charging forward. Mercury is in Pisces again. It's that energy of wanting to know information, wanting to understand, sitting in that Pisces sign. So I think that's why it made it extra glitchy this time with that retrograde, that Pisces retrograde, because it was really challenging for Mercury, being the ruler of Gemini, all about logic and thought and understanding and questioning and communication, technology, of course, as well with the with computers, but also sitting in Pisces, which is so fantasy thinking and beyond boundaries and really mystical and woo-woo. So it's really struggling anyway, I think, to process how it feels or really put a straightforward logical explanation for things. So I think that could have been an issue, especially with that retrograding, but I feel it's also happening this week because we've got that Mars, which is in Pisces also, will be forming a squaring aspect to the moon. So I think we're still going to be feeling a little bit of that, but it could be more about trying to process and put a logical explanation on why we're feeling a certain way. Don't forget accountability, because we've got the Sun conjuncting Saturn. So there's going to be some issues around restrictions and accountability. So let's get into the card reading here with the Forecaster Oracle. I'm also using a couple of cards out of the Predictions Oracle only because I pulled that deck this morning thinking I was pulling the Forecaster Oracle, so it must mean that it wanted to be used today. So on the table we've got disappointing outcome, so in the collective energy. Now either this could be the collective starting to feel a little bit disappointed with results of what's going on collectively. And one of those reasons could be we're beginning to be feeling this personally. So when it starts to affect our hip pockets, when we start to have to pay extra for fuel, groceries, we're restrictions, don't forget that word, restrictions on how much we can travel. Restrictions I feel are going to be getting even worse as well. So because of the strategies coming up with this energy, and I'm bringing in restrictions because of the conjunction with the Saturn and the moon, but also because I heard the restrictions. So there's strategies coming out around what to do. Maybe there will be restrictions. Maybe there will be, apart from the economy being affected here, this is interest rates also going up, lots of things happening around that. But collectively, people are starting to think, be disappointed with the results, being disappointed with what decisions that leaders are making, or also become disillusioned or disappointed with the things that are coming out of leaders' mouths is what I'm getting, because we've got this trust collapse, broken credibility. So it's about, and this is our rulers or our leaders, the things that they're saying, covering up for what's going on, not being honest and truthful with us about what's really going on, as far as, you know, do we need to be prepared for something? You know, what's really going on here? What are you covering up? So there's a bit of a disillusionment. Again, that's that Pisces energy. Disillusionment can be that boundaries and like the feeling of not quite understanding, that feeling of the moon in Gemini squaring off with Pisces energy, where it feels like we're not being told the truth, but we can't quite see what's going on. We just want people to be honest with us and tell us what's going on. So there's trust collapse here. This is to do with leaders. This is to do with the strategies that they're coming up with, or even the strategies of going into this war. Whatever it is, it's a collective energy of starting to be disappointed because it's affecting us personally. And that's what could be happening. And I'm actually getting very frustrated as I am talking about this. So I feel that is the feeling of the energy. It's starting to be a bit of frustration energy within the collective energy. Now we've got outdated dismantling, so obsolete systems. Okay, and I can see Pluto in the back of this card. Pluto wanting to come in and dismantle things that are not working. This is also happening with Neptune. Neptune's moved into Aries now, and Aries is it's really the sign that represents tension and war and doing things in a very masculine way, a very warlike way, forceful way, impulsive way, with acting in hastily or in a rash way, like not putting too much thought into what they're doing as far as strategy goes. So now I know there's layers of strategy behind it, but the energy also feels quite Aries. Now Neptune wants to come and dissolve anything that's not working for us collectively. So power systems, outdated structures. Now, could this be related to fuels, oils? What's going on there? Because we're seeing outdated or dismantling systems. Now, it could just be straight up talking about what's going on with Iran. It could be asking us to restructure how and where we get our resources from. That could be because it's outdated. There's some kind of dismantling or outdated systems here that are coming to the forefront this week. And I say that also because of the Neptune that's sitting in Aries, wanting to dismantle outdated systems, but do it in a very warlike or action-orientated way. Even though Neptune is quite a gentle sign, it comes in and gently severs the connections that we have to our systems. So we know deep down there's certain systems we need to release and let go of, but we're going to be able to see it in a much more in-your-face kind of way because of the way that Aries energy is affecting this transit. We have transitional shifts and change. So that just aligns with everything I said. We've got change. We have changes coming up. We have the big three outer planets moving. So Uranus is moving into Gemini in April permanently for the next 7 years. We have Neptune in Aries for 14 years, and Pluto, which is, as I said, showing in this card here with Pluto, it wants to come in and change in whatever way necessary. It doesn't mind being aggressive in the way that it will collapse old systems. It's like the Tower card and the Death card together. So it's in Aquarius, which represents power of the people, revolution, technology, all of those kind of things. So we've got a lot of transitional energy in the collective anyway because of what's going to be playing out over the next decade or so. So we're really starting to feel that now. Power flow and energy. We've got some big changes coming to flight plans, big changes coming to planes. Now maybe this could be to do with fuel and jet fuel. Maybe it could just be more diversions going to be necessary or cancellations. But we've got some big energy on the table this week about flight travel and flight plans this week. Lots of changes are going to be necessary when it comes to where you're traveling to or the way you are routing your destinations to or from, if you can even get there with the crisis that's coming up with the fuel. Power flow and energy. We're seeing a lot of changes and transitions to energy, power, the grids, all the resources. So that's whichever way electricity is made. This can also be fuels as well. It's power, it's energy, it's how it's created with natural resources. Big changes coming to those areas. And I think it could even be the shortages, but there's unseen things here. They're hiding things from us, just like I thought with that when I said the disappointing outcome. The feeling of the people starting to become frustrated and disappointed with leaders just not being upfront with us, just not saying, okay, prepare for a difficult next 6 months or a difficult, challenging next 3 months. Instead, they're worried about panic buying, so they're just keeping everybody in the dark. So there's unseen connections. They're keeping things hidden around our resources, around our energy, around our power, and around our fuels. So there's a bit of tension going on in the collective energy because of it. The people start to become disillusioned or disappointed with what we're being told, and trust collapse or broken credibility for certain leaders around different countries around the world. So that's the collective energy. Let's move on to the predictions for the week ahead. Predictions coming up for this week. So what we have is more retaliation, more strikes. We've got this explosive situation, so that obviously means more back and forth, lots more of that happening this week. Some interesting cards are on the table here. I will get to that. But we are seeing also escalating conflict is on the table. Intensity is rising. And I do still see that strong stellium in Aries, which I didn't mention on the chart. It's still very heavy, if I can find my chart. We've still got all these planets here in Aries. So we've still got quite a big stellium. And Aries, as I said, is all about tension. It's about conflict. It's about impulsiveness. It's about action and moving forward. So it's still a big stellium there. Now, global impacts of this. I heard the word genocide, so I have to say it. Affecting many. That's a little bit concerning to me, and it stopped me in my tracks for a moment there because it came out of the blue, the word. I was thinking along the line of harvest. Okay. If I have to read this logically, I would say farmers are affected by shortages in fuel, which means harvest will be affected, which means if there is not a shortage of food, if there's foods available, they're going to be very expensive, but there could be shortages that we're facing because there's issues with farmers and harvesting that will be affecting globally, impacting many. Now, if I have to speak, okay, and please be careful how you take this information. War, because I heard the word genocide. I see the word harvest, and I see the word harvest, many people. So affecting a lot of people. So for one thing, the fear-based energy of war is a harvesting technique and project fear, because certain entities feed off fear energy. It's like a loosh, or it's like a harvesting of energy. So I don't want to go too deeply into that on this channel because I try to keep this one a little bit more mainstream. But I do feel I believe deeply in my heart that we're not just physical bodies here and everything's as it seems. There's layers of dimensions. If you've seen spirit, or if you've seen anything, you know that there's more beyond the physical body. So there is things that kind of work in the shadows, work in the astrals, work in the dimensions, and they feed on people, especially when you're keeping your energy low, especially when there's levels of fear. So I don't want to get too much into that, but I do see it because of the things that came out, the words that I was hearing and the cards on the table. There's an element of it going on right now because this war basically started in between the two eclipses. We had the blood moon eclipse on a 3/3 portal, and then the one before was in end of February, and the war was officially declared right in the middle of that. So, and eclipses in history have generally been used for ritual activity, but also project fear-based energy as well. So then the war's declared, and it feels almost ritualistic as a way of harvesting energy. Now I know there's strategic things, and I know there's logical issues for this, and I get all that, and I understand. I'm just letting you know that there's multi-dimensional layers here, and because I'm also hearing the word genocide, there's sacrifices here. There's people losing their lives. So whether we're being told about how many, quite concerning cards actually as far as predictions, because we have escalating tension, explosive situation, taken by force, affects many people, and it's a bit of a harvesting kind of energy there. Affects people's energy. Let me just say that in the nicest way that I can say it, is that it affects people's energy. So take care of your own energy, be responsible for where you're putting your attention, be responsible for not contributing to fear-based energy. Inundation of this fear-based energy coming into the collective. Predictively, it could also be things around water. We could be seeing rising tides. We could be seeing storms. We could be seeing some kind of rising waters, because this is a predictive energy for the week ahead. We could be seeing explosive situation or affected foundations, bridges, buildings, and I think I saw that in last week's reading as well. So we're seeing these infrastructures or foundations being affected by the escalating conflict. Is that on purpose? Probably part of a strategic plan, something that has been a long-term vision that somebody is working on, for the reason why certain buildings have been taken down by war. So, and I'm seeing that also as well. It's a ripple effects, it's a consequence. So consequence of war means destruction to properties, destruction to buildings, destruction to infrastructure. And I wonder if that is a long-term vision, something being taken by force. Now also when I see this, I just got to mention predictively, when I see this taken by force next to an explosive situation, reminds me of how the Iranian leader was taken out. So I don't know if predictively we're going to be seeing something like that or hearing news about something like that, but the other cards that remind me of that situation would also be holding power, because the Iranian leader was trying to hold power before he was taken by force, and it was the exact cards that came out in the predictive reading, these ones, holding power, taken by force by an external adversary, which I said was the US. So that was all coming out a few weeks ago, and it's back on the table today. We've asked, somebody's asking for assistance or help to uproot somebody and take them out, taken by force, taking somebody out this week. Bit of craziness going on there, so my apologies. So uprooted or taken out. So it looks to be predictively this week, somebody will be taken out, explosive situation, maybe with the help or of assistance of two countries united there to do that, and surveillance. So maybe we're looking at surveillance, we're going to be seeing surveillance records, or wanting to see surveillance of maybe even the new Iranian leader. Maybe there's going to be a call for proof of life, because I see that surveillance record and wanting to see proof of life, because we're also seeing again this energy of uprooted and taken out. So quite very intense cards, I think, for big things happening this week with what's going on with the escalating tension. Let's move to the lighter side with this now, as we look at how we can how this may affect our energies, and how to best navigate this energy for the week ahead. Okay, collectively. So this is on a personal, how to navigate this collective energy. First thing I would say, tactical maneuvering required. So this is about being strategic in the way that you place your energy this week. We've got some challenging planetary placements as well with the astrology, and some of these cards are indicating some of the astrological placements as well. But I feel you just need to be very aware of your own energy, and aware of also not only your energy, I'm feeling that you need to be aware of other people's energy this week, especially with that square with the moon in Gemini squaring off with the Pisces energy there. So I'm feeling there's a need to be aware of how other people are traveling and how other people are feeling, even though some people may be having trouble being able to express what they're feeling, and they might not even be able to place their finger on why they're feeling the way that they're feeling. This could be you personally, this could be people around you, but just keep an open mind, keep an open heart really for the people around you that are struggling with this challenging aspecting energy when it comes to emotions this week. So it doesn't feel to be aggressive emotions, it feels to be confusing emotions, and emotions where you just don't understand why you're feeling that way. You don't understand why you feel flat or why you feel tired. I also feel this energy is related to sleep as well, and I feel like it could be affecting people's sleep patterns. I'm getting that because it's Pisces energy, and I kind of always equate Pisces to the dream world. So I feel like there could be some challenges when it comes to an overactive mind, maybe with what's going on in your personal lives or the collective energy, and that could be affecting your sleep as well. So it could be that you're very busy in your sleep doing busy work when it comes to light workers and what light workers do in their dreams. But I feel like it's like waking up tired or waking up emotionally drained and not sure why it's happening to you, why you feel that way. So there's a bit of confusion energy around that. So just open your hearts to the people around you that could be feeling a little confused this week with their emotions. They may be not able to regulate their highs and lows either, or they may just be feeling flat. This could be you too, could just be feeling flat this week and not sure why you feel flat. So if that's you, then you need to do what you need to do. Use your toolkit of how you pick yourself up. And I'm also feeling like that above and beyond card, Cosmic Frontier, seems to me a little bit about going on a personal level. I feel it feels to be a little bit Pisces energies to me. So it feels going beyond the boundaries. So beyond the boundaries of the physical into the spiritual. So more meditation, but also more physical grounding work. I think you need both. But I feel like because we've got this also energy of going within, that's why it's drawing me back to Pisces energy, and it's drawing me back to meditation. So it may just be because of all this high strangeness that's going on in the world right now. People are behaving strangely individually, not confused, not knowing why they're acting the way. You don't understand why people are doing what they're doing. High strangeness with this card here. It's saying sometimes you just need to retreat and go within, meditate. It's also bringing me vibes of Four of Swords is what I'm visualizing. So that peace, that breath work, that taking a moment of pause to escape the heavier energy and just go within. So it's really about going within and boosting and building your energy from inside out there, because we've also got above and beyond, feels like presence, and so outside of boundaries, so outside of your physical body as well. And it's about at times knowing when it's the right time to be in fantasy land, when it's the right time to meditate or dream work or sleep, but when it's also the right time to be physically grounded and do some breath work, but also do some grounding, physical, bringing you back to this body and back to earth, because you need both. We've got harmful exposure, toxic or virus. So here it can be toxic to be too far one way or too far the other, and it's about finding that balance in between. I do hope you all have a beautiful week ahead. Please remember to look after yourselves, look after your mental health, and look after the people around you as well. And I'll be back again next week.